Next question I have here moving forward is that I saw a reasoning you were doing about seasons, right? The importance of seasons. And we know some people just like the good, they can't deal with the bad. But also, I want you to speak about dealing with the having endurance to get to the what we will refer to as good, the low points, but also dealing with the good. I notice people struggle with dealing with good seasons. It's like they're almost addicted to pain and frustration, and it almost scares them. So please elaborate on that for me.
You know, one of the things with seasons is that it's not if they will change, they will change. When you think of how life is, right? I believe God creates dualism, right? Everything that happens in the realm of nature happens in our lives, right? So if you live in the Northeast, December to March, you're going to have winter. You're not going to have summer, December to March, right? If you live on the other hemisphere, you will have summer during that time. But in this hemisphere, December to March is winter. Here's the problem. The ants in Proverb, the writer of Proverbs, Solomon, the preacher, says that look at the ant. He gathers for the upcoming winter. The average person doesn't want to prepare for the bad seasons because they presume that preparation means that you're anticipating misfortune. No, life inevitably has seasons. Seasons change. And the quicker we understand that seasons change is the better it is for us, because it's not whether or not you want the season to change. And look at it now. This is the comparative problem. Most persons look and say, well, let's say Autarchii, you know, he must shine in a theme season. But they didn't see the time when he was building. They never see the time when he was planting. They have only seen the reaping season. So don't look at a man's season and say, well, boy, him there, so he had a winter. Him have him spring and him summer now, but he had a winter. And this is the thing we have to normalize. We have to normalize preparation. Nobody wants to prepare. Everybody wants reaping season. You know, Anthony B said, nobody want to plant the corn, everybody want to raise the barn, right? Yeah, but it is a fundamental principle of life that if you are going to harvest, you have to first plant. And we know the Jamaican proverb, you can't plant corn and reap peas. Don't look at another man's crop because you don't know that he toiled in the night to plant. So say Autarchii release disrupting the status quo. You don't know how many nights him stay up and how many times he had to re-record. So you're bad mind now because you see that he's in a season to shine without looking at when he had to dig up the dirt, plant the seed, water it, but don't see anything grow, and be patient enough to know that it will grow because he has the endurance.
Fire 2 sec. You're touching on some key points right now. And we just want to acknowledge how society creates that mind frame, because between Hollywood, people have a trailer idea of life. You know, those every movie they had that little trailer where it's like everything just go good and they don't see that the back.
Yeah, man.
Then social media mashing up people's mind too, because between the lying and people don't see the work people are doing into stuff. And usually the process is when you actually been working on something for such a duration of time, they see the end product, but they never see the work, as you said, you know? So it's just a misconception in society and a disconnect between, as you mentioned earlier, which you spoke about, the laws of nature, Fire. It's like a total disconnect in regards to the process of things. And people generally in their heart believe that they're going to start something today and they're going to find glory in it tomorrow.
But I want to answer the other part of your question because it's important about why people have so much problem, expecting good in their lives. One of the legacies of oppression and downpression, as my Rasta brethren would say, one of the legacies of downpression is a mindset that you don't deserve good things. You see, Carter G. Woodson wrote it in about 1921, The Miseducation of the Negro. Part of the miseducation of the Negro is to convince the person that is Black that says that all that can come out of you is second-classness, right? So most of us have what I call an intergenerational trauma. We have ingested the poison of second-classness and inferiority, and that's what we produce. We don't go back to, and that's why I keep talking about 1454. We don't go back to the glorious traditions of Africa. We start with enslavement. I did a lecture 2 weeks ago and I told them that no slaves left Africa. Africans left Africa that were enslaved. No slave made it on the boat. They were people who were enslaved, because when you're a slave, that is your primary and exclusive identity. When you are enslaved, it means that you are made into that forcefully, right? So most of us still have that mentality that says we are inferior. You know, the Ewemina proverb says, until the lion gets his own storyteller, the story of the hunt will always glorify the hunter. We not telling our own story. So we have inherited that trauma and we produce it and we reproduce it in generations. I said nothing good can come from them. So we don't learn the good things from bad seasons. Yeah, man, that's what I said. There are good things to learn from bad seasons, because they teach you the lesson that when you get plenty, you know how to keep plenty. Ask a man that used to be hungry and now that he has food. Ask him and see if it's not the same survival skills that kept him hungry continue to keep him hungry so that he can get more. Most of us don't want that. We just want what I call the microwave prosperity. You know, you just pop it in the microwave and it come out in 2 minutes. But they don't want to be building and toiling and staying up in the night and putting in the work. You know, if you follow social media, everybody can be an internet millionaire now. Yeah, but that is the pipe dream that we're selling people without selling them morals and values. Everybody wants to be rich or die trying, but nobody wants to transform a community. No one wants to bring somebody along. You see, this is my ministry, you know, and I tell people all the while, what I do in the church and what I do in the classroom is no different. I have to ensure that because I have this knowledge, I have to share it with others. Each one, that's what Jacob Miller said, each one teach one, right? That is the principle, you know. That is the principle that our ancestors dealt with. Each one teach one. When we think of the word mwalimu, which means great teacher or master teacher in Swahili, it was not just somebody who had nice sounding speech. It was someone who could bring out the best in the worst people. That's who a mwalimu is, a teacher, a great teacher, a master teacher. And so most of us, we don't want to carry anybody. We want to only go for ourselves. I tell people that if there are 20 of us shining in a room, the room shine bright, versus if it's just 5 of us shining. And when you shine, you don't dim my light. We can all shine. That is Ubuntu. I am because we are.
Is a concept where majority of people don't really understand this concept, you know, because this conversation, as simple as it might want to seem, it's deeper than what the average person I think about. Because it's just first night me I think about the microwave and the fast food. I think about how the electromagnetic wave them really, it make the food hot, but the one part where majority of people not really think about is the side effects. And based off of the reason why I say it come to my brain after doing that research, the side effects are moving so fast. The side effects of not wanting everybody around you to shine. The side effects of not seeing the full vision and not seeing what the seasons them bring and the lessons we have to learn. The side effect is that it made the people them remain passive. And the passive thought process where the people them have based off of how them actually get indoctrinated, it start trickle down in a generations, and it start make we doing more and more in a chaos, you know?
Yeah, man, and that's what I was calling intergenerational trauma, you know, because trauma reproduces trauma. If you pass it down and say, boy, yeah, so all we come living us. So for you strive and say you come out of the ghetto now or come out of the hood now, people say, boy, I hype and we know, you know, without ever thinking that you're bringing up generations out of the poverty of their circumstances, right? I grew up in Augustown. It's Augustown I born and grew, right? And everywhere I go, that is what lifts me. The story of Augustown, that from out of nothing and presumably nothing, that something can come, but you don't just bring yourself, you bring others. You bring others. And that has been my life principle. So I've taught at the college level for 21 years now, because I started right after my undergrad degree and when I started my master's. And that has been my motivation, that you don't just learn to look bright. You learn so you can teach. A lot of people learn just to look bright, but you learn so that you can teach and transform. Teaching is supposed to be transformative. People must be transformed when you teach, and that has been my life work. You have to be transformative in your approach. And when we talk about Black history, the reason why we continue to have Black history, a lot of people want to say this, may not say it, but I'm going to say it. Black history serves the purpose sometimes, unfortunately, to educate Black people about themselves, because they are not willing and disciplined enough to know about themselves throughout the year. So they have to wait until Black history to get what you call cliff notes on their history. They've never accessed who they are before, because they are afraid of being Black. Because Garvey says we think of Black as a stain of discord, but it's a badge of honor and distinction. Yeah, badge of honor and distinction, but we have been so miseducated that to own your Blackness means to be divisive. To own your Blackness means that you're putting down other people. That is what they misunderstood with Marcus Garvey's race first, race pride. They took it to mean that he said only Black people mattered. No, he said the Black man must matter and see himself as mattering enough that he is not looking for handouts, but he can raise up for himself a glorious civilization in Africa. And when we misunderstand who we are, we also misunderstand our heroes and our heroines, because we are told to discard them because they were divisive. And I think of Malcolm X. I had to tell a class last week. I say, how many of you know the full quote that ends with by any means necessary? I said, where now will say by any means necessary? Them see him with a 16. And them I say, yes, violence. And I said, the quote says, we deserve and we assert our rights to be humans in this world, to be treated as human beings, to be treated with dignity. And we will bring this right into existence by any means necessary. You hear it change? Because they only hear by any means necessary. And so we discard our heroes simply because other people tell us that they have been bad.
Well, let me hear you say, Mount